Thank you for joining us here today. My name is Jim Ducharme. I'm CTO at ClearDATA. Let's see if we can get our slides up there. Our presentation today is about healthcare innovation without the chaos, scaling securely in a multi-cloud world. Again, I'm from a company called ClearDATA. We are a managed service provider that is exclusively focused in healthcare and helping our customers on their journey through hosting their most critical applications and infrastructure in the public cloud. Our company was founded well over a decade ago when the public cloud was first coming about and healthcare companies were struggling to migrate and to innovate in the public cloud. So now we're continuing that transformation today, and want to introduce Kevin Day, my partner in crime here, one of our longtime customers, and share some of their experiences in working with ClearDATA and their migration through and journey through the public cloud. So Kevin?
Yeah. Thank you, Jim. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much. So I'm the Chief Technology Officer at Rhapsody. Rhapsody is a leading provider of agent-ready interoperability. So we serve customers that's care providers, health tech builders, public teams, and even payers. And we work with a lot of customers for interoperability needs, identity management needs, even semantic terminology. Been long players in this space. The company Rhapsody itself is relatively young, but through a process of mergers, acquisitions, and partnerships, we've grown to where we are today. We serve over 1,900 customers across 31 countries.
Great. So let's talk about the challenge, right? The challenge continues to morph as we go through this journey in the public cloud. And Kevin and I were reminiscing earlier about how it was just a few years ago at HIMSS, every booth was covered with blockchain, blockchain, and blockchain. And now I dare you to go find blockchain on any of the booths. So today it's really all about AI, and next year it'll probably be about something else. But that transformation is really the partnership that we form with Kevin. And so Kevin, I'd like to hear a couple of things about the Rhapsody's journey through there and some of the challenges you faced along the way to get to those 1,900 plus customers.
Yeah, certainly. There's two real examples I want to highlight throughout all the sections here. Rhapsody by itself, we're very capable of serving customers in the cloud, and we have been for years. And we have brought in some customer bases inorganically. So maybe some of you are familiar with kind of that process. You do your very best at due diligence, but suddenly once you have access to their technology, you see a lot of issues under the covers, so to speak. And then also we often find opportunities in which we are not in a particular region, or a customer is demanding that we use a cloud service provider that we're not experts in. And so for both of those, leveraging a great partner like ClearDATA has been critical to our success. The first challenge, bringing in a customer base, that increase, it was through a M&A activity. We actually increased our cloud customer footprint by about 5%. Actually, ClearDATA was involved on the other side of this, where they have a lot of adjacent customers using the same technology. If we would have just tried it ourselves, that 5% of new customers would have consumed 95% of my operational staff's overhead, and we would have been shortchanging the rest of our customer base. So that was one major challenge. Bringing in a set of customers on a bespoke piece of technology. It was actually open source technology, which is, I don't begrudge that, but it had really been unattended open source. A lot of vulnerabilities. There was a lot of different problems with the resiliency, the security, and also the future of the technology that we inherited. And then for the second example, and we'll dive into this a little more as well, we have a burning opportunity, new customer base in the Middle East. And in order to do business there with the governments, the government health networks or the government health offices, they demanded that we are serving them with our technology, our interoperability platform, serving them in Azure. And I have an extremely capable AWS cloud operations and services team. And I think you can all appreciate that you can't just copy and paste that code into Azure. Having a great partner like ClearDATA at our fingertips to be able to overcome those complexities and help us with that launch was critical to our success.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Kevin. So Kevin highlighted a couple examples of challenges that they faced, and I want to highlight some of those. He talked about going international. We've helped a number of customers figure out how to migrate, how to evolve from a largely domestic footprint to international, even sort of data sovereignty rules, compliance issues. What it means to operate in some of these other countries is very different. That's one area where our expertise comes in. But we're really focused on helping customers architect, operate, and ensure the security, compliance, and resilience of the cloud infrastructure platforms that they put over. Kevin talked about, like most of our customers, they're very competent in what they do. Gone are the days where we have to help our customers understand how to spell AWS or know what an Azure tenant is. But now it is about some of these interesting challenges, especially these days with AI. We talked about our multi-cloud story here because this over the last 2 years has accelerated dramatically. I would say a few years ago, customers come to help, they'd be wearing the AWS t-shirt or the Azure t-shirt. And they're like, this is our platform of choice. And honestly, AI has really driven an explosion of multi-cloud adoption because whether you're an AWS customer and go, I think I like what Azure's doing with OpenAI, I want to mess with theirs. Or vice versa, you're on Azure and you're like, I'm going to try Bedrock or GCP's Vertex AI, MedPalm, things like that. Or many of our customers are going, no, you know what? I think they all need a little bit of help and we're going to do actually multi-AI strategy. We have several customers, for example, one in particular I can think of that is an AWS customer, but we help them move to Azure OpenAI, set up the critical infrastructure for that. And now they actually use all three. They use Bedrock, Azure OpenAI, and Google GCP simultaneously to make sure that they have the best efficacy of their business model that there is. So Kevin talked about a couple of those challenges. He also had some of that migrating of workloads that he, I'll say, acquired. And again, Kevin doesn't lack, and his company doesn't lack for the competency to be able to do the work. But all of that work doesn't help drive his business, right, but it's necessary, right? And so that's where ClearDATA comes in. Let us take care of some of that hard work that makes sure that what you're building or what you're migrating, what you're inheriting is built right. We operate it right. We make sure it's secure and compliant. And whatever that compliance means, whether that's HIPAA, HITRUST, NIST, GDPR, CE mark, whatever it may be, whatever region you're in, whatever data sovereignty issues you need to deal with. So let us take care of that so that you can focus on your business. So Kevin, as you think through some of those challenges and where you got to, how did you measure success in that? And what were some of the outcomes by the numbers, if you will?
Yeah, and I'm really glad you emphasized, like my team that would be highly capable of taking on these projects themselves. But in our partnership with ClearDATA, we dubbed them our operational force multiplier. Force multipliers, a bit of a military term. I was in the service for a long time. So that the main outcome was allowing our team to focus on our current customers and our operational success there and our innovation in new product build. And so some of the numbers on the screen right now are a result of that partnership. First, the customer base that we inherited, where I said the open source platform that they were using was essentially left on autopilot, unattended. We were having to be, as soon as we got it into our ecosystem, we're having to be extremely reactive to new common vulnerabilities that were being exposed or ones that had just been sitting there for a long time. It immediately increased the risk of our overall ecosystem, and we were not willing to continue with that risk. So with the help of our partners at ClearDATA, we were able to clear out more than 1,500 critical and high. And that doesn't even include the medium ones that you should address. It was critical and high vulnerabilities and live customer production data. And again, it's just they left it on autopilot, not those customers. They didn't want that. What they wanted was the outcome that we were delivering, which was healthcare data interoperability, connecting upstream systems into the clinical workflow. But they were being let down by their original partner. So bringing it in-house, I could have certainly had my team resolve all of those CVEs, but we would have been shortchanging the rest of our customer base. So that was a really big outcome, massively lowered the risk that we were carrying in serving those customers. And then the other two statistics that you see on there, this is an outcome of Rhapsody as our entire ecosystem. So what I just highlighted was about 5% of our customers. Since we didn't have to put all of our attention and effort on those concerns, we were able to achieve really good outcomes for the rest of our SaaS business. And that includes greater than 4 nines of uptime for the calendar year of 2025, in which 96% of our customers didn't have any unplanned downtime whatsoever. And we were able to innovate things in that regard to zero downtime maintenance and things like that. Again, if my operation and SRE team were focused on these 5% of new customers that we brought in that we absolutely want to be successful, they would not have achieved those other outcomes. And in addition to that, over the course of our partnership over the last 5 or 6 years, I think it's actually longer than that now, we have grown our SaaS business by about 850%. I know that's when you start with a small number, it's easy to grow 850%, but it's a primary way that we serve customers now is in SaaS. And our ability to grow and innovate has a lot to do with our decision to choose partnerships like with ClearDATA.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Kevin. And I love these numbers because they start from a sort of a tactical thing, right? 1,500 vulnerabilities. What we want Kevin and the Rhapsody team to focus on is the outcomes that drive their business. And the presenting problem, the issue that he first came with is, oh my God, look what I inherited, look what I acquired, ClearDATA, here you go. When you think about the help that you may need in order to do that, you can turn to maybe a body shop and say, here you go, here's a pile of work, start shovel and get it all done. But that's not the ClearDATA approach. So what we take as a managed service provider with Kevin and a partner with them is we actually show up with not only our expertise, but also our platform that we built over the last decade, our cyber health platform. When we onboard your public cloud accounts, again, across any of the three major public clouds, AWS, Azure, GCP, we bring our secure cloud baseline in there, right? So we bring our technical controls, we bring our secure foundation that helps us build it. I'm a big analogy guy. Many times I use it. If you want to build a beach house, you better start with a good design. Sometimes when you acquire something, it doesn't always start with the best of design. So we come in and lay down that foundation. It helps us understand the posture and the issues in that. And we can actually work collaboratively with the Rhapsody team to make sure that we get that in a better position. And we take on that burden. Again, from an operational standpoint, you don't get there. You don't get to 4 nines or better of availability by just handling tickets when something breaks. You need to make sure that you're very proactive in that. So that's what we try to do with our technology footprint, is make sure that we can spot the issues before they become business issues, right? And most important metric, I think, is the one on the right, which is where I want Kevin to be successful, which is driving their business, right? He needs his eyes on his business, not his infrastructure. And that our job is to make sure that the machine runs, that his public cloud infrastructure is doing its job for them so that they can focus on their job and supporting their customers. But with a few minutes left, let's talk about some of the sort of key takeaways, Kevin, from your perspective.
We're a software engineering organization, and we have invested heavily in cloud engineering and SRE. You have the hubris of, why can't I just do it by myself? And I would say just even talking to a partner like ClearDATA could really help provide that assurance that, you know what, like, this is not your wheelhouse. It's not what your company specializes in or where your priorities should be. And we're really good at it. So let us help you get to that outcome that you need. In the example of pursuing an opportunity in which the only cloud that we can be on was Azure and we didn't have that specialty, we would not have taken that on unless we're able to offer those customers the same level of service, the same level of outcome, that we are going to be there 24/7 and make sure everything is automated and it works. We're not going to be manually updating your systems. And it would have took us a really long time to engineer that solution on our own. And so that's another consideration, is like, what is your priority? Is it speed to market? Are you getting into an area of complexity that you're not necessarily, that's not your specialty? Then it's time to don't do it alone, bring in a partner.
Yeah. And I want to emphasize, again, like I said, all of our customers are incredibly capable. Many of them are very large payers, providers, health techs. It is a don't go it alone, because sometimes you need to focus on your business and let us focus on some of the other pieces. Some of the stats that I use are like, over the last 6 weeks, AWS alone has announced over 240 enhancements to their services. You got time to keep up with that and what the implications on your infrastructure are? Over the last 6 months, we've seen the introduction of well over 1,000 different LLMs if you're into AI. How do you keep track of how to make sure that you stand those up securely, compliantly, resiliently? How do you deal with all that? I encourage you to think about the complexities that you're facing in your cloud journey, where, again, no obligation. Where can you get a little bit of a helping hand to help you navigate through that so that you can focus your energies on your core business and let a trusted partner really help you operate? So I think we've got a couple minutes left.
Yeah, I got one more example, if I may. Another area in which we're very proud to offer our customers a lot of certifications and compliance credentials, such as ISO 27001, SOC 2, and recently High Trust. We didn't have High Trust until almost like 2 years ago. Being able to leverage a system like ClearDATA's cyber health platform, that's really incredible, because it's able to take your existing cloud ecosystem and show you against the requirements and what you have to attest to in order to get a high trust certification. Here is where you stand with your cloud configuration, your settings, and everything else. That was a huge accelerant for us to be able to get our own high trust certification. And as part of it's like a shared responsibility model where we could actually have them deploy all of our customers in their cloud account and just inherit their high trust certification. But a partner like ClearDATA is allowing us to actually do it through our own cloud accounts, which is very strategic for us.
Excellent. Thanks, Kevin. And that is an important aspect. High Trust has these great capabilities of high trust inheritance so that you can lean on us to take care of that responsibility. So again, it's not just about us tinkering with his infrastructure. It's actually us having an accountability in that shared responsibility model that we take the burden of that off of our customers. And finally, what I'll say is, we talked a little bit about building it right. How do we help you make sure that you architect or modernize your cloud infrastructure that you may have lifted and shifted years ago and take full advantage of the cloud? How do we help you operate it? How do we help you see out the windshield of what the issues are with our proactive cyber health platform to see the issues? We also have our MDR capabilities that we put on top of your infrastructure as well. So we're constantly monitoring for anomalous behavior, things trying to get through, threats trying to get through to your infrastructure that could compromise you. And then finally, that audit support, if you will, everything from that checklist of how do you achieve high trust, ISO, NIST, any sort of feel good about the certification that you need to either help your customers or help your auditors feel comfortable that what you're doing is safe, secure, and resilient.